university. So they are metaprograms, or somebody who sorts for likeness, or someone who sorts for what doesn't fit. Actually, for Ned, it'll be interesting when you review the video. When you review the video, to listen into the metaprograms that you were using, ways of sorting information, because a couple of times there you were speaking the thing that was the ill fit. So that's maybe a remnant of something that's left over. But anyway, check the video for that. So sometimes a person has a way of sorting information and they're looking for what doesn't fit about what it is that's been said, and that's their way of processing information. Somebody who is sorting information this way generally is trying to create a degree of polarization in the communication. Like you'll say something and then they'll say something else that's opposite what you say. This is polarizing. So now for some people that's important that they polarize, because that's the way they sort information. They sort it by polarizing. Anybody who sorts information by polarizing generally is moved by anxiety. Anxiety never motivates, but anxiety does move a person. So for instance, this kind of person may have left everything to the last moment to do at school, and then when there was enough anxiety there, that they would then really learn this stuff because there was quite a bit of anxiety there, and then anxiety became state-specific to memory retrieval. In other words, the person had to be anxious quite incredibly in the exam to recall the information. So later on in life, the way they create this anxiety in themselves a little is to say no to what you've said, and then say something, that they're adding to things actually. But you'll notice the person says no, or the person will say but a lot in their speech. They'll say something and then they'll say but, and the but is totally negating what it was that the person had just said. So this is another example of polarizing.
I have a saying that's called tyranny of the urgency.
Tyranny of the urgency?
Yeah, do your thing and you got a good, quick urgency. So you really terrorize yourself on doing it.
Okay, so that's an...
you put yourself under stress and,
yes.
And it's usually not done well.
Okay, so actually, Alex, you will notice that someone who has this program generally will be sorting information by polarizing. That'll be another thing that they'll probably do, in the work environment, to get people motivated. See, these are all metaprograms. What does it take for you to motivate somebody else? Each of us have different metaprograms possibly, and some of us have similar. What it takes to convince self, there's probably a metaprogram there. What does it take for me to learn something? Some people have a metaprogram of single trial learning. They think if they've not learnt whatever it is in this single trial, that they're not going to learn it beyond that. So then that would be a limited metaprogram of learning new information. Some people have a metaprogram of stuffing what you're saying into concepts that they're familiar with, they're understanding. That may not be an elegant way of sorting the information that you're sharing. Because let's say that this person is understanding transactional analysis or something like that, and they're stuffing what you're saying into their terms, what's parent, adult, child, and they may not fit at all. So
are you saying that a person who has paired and learning with anxiety then creates an anxious situation in a conversation so that they stimulate their intellectual process?
Yes, so that they stimulate the ability to be able to recall information with you and in themselves. That's right.
Back that up on me again. Let's have that again.
A person stimulates learning by creating an anxiety situation in a conversation by being contrary or by saying but and bringing up an opposing point of view.
Yes, exactly.
That's the way they learn.
So for instance, like if you know that... So for instance, if you know that somebody is doing this, okay, then you give them the opportunity to polarize. Let's say that they're not committed to what you're doing, right? You may say to them, I wonder to what degree you are committed to what we're doing, and I sense that possibly you're not so committed. and the person says no, or they might say, well, no, and yes, you work with this person. If the person is a polarizer, and you're introducing something to them, let's say you're introducing some scent to the person, and you know that they're ordinarily the kind of person that polarizes, you might say to give them the chance to polarize and say, well, I don't know whether you'd like to try some of this scent or not. And the person says, well, no, let me try it, because you've said possibly they wouldn't. And then they say, oh, no, So it gives them, yes, right. So it gives them the opportunity to be able to polarize. The main thing is that if you recognise that you have been polarising as a way of sorting information, that this is kind of a limiting strategy. And socially we do well when we have this ability to sort for likeness and to understand what creates integration. And pleasure is important for integration to occur. So polarising generally creates some degree of discomfort and aversion, and then thus limited brain function as a result. So some people are content sorters. When you ask them how they're going to make the most of this situation now, some people will be focusing on the content. They may sort the information by putting things into categories. They may sort information by thinking of the topics of relevance. They may sort the information by talking about things, going back in time to talk about things or people. So this person is a classically processing information by content sorting by the content with which there is there. We talked about people having a metaprogram of toward or away. Another one is active and passive. So that you'll notice that when you ask somebody how they're going to make the most of this situation, some people will share with you their metaprogram of being passive, and others will be telling you that they are going to be active.
What would be an example of that?
Through the process of learning, I'm going to allow more of a laissez-faire approach where leadership occurs as a result of everyone having a say. That may be the person processing a little bit more through a passive role, or somebody who says, I think we really need to get in there and do this and get this done, and we need to be moving. This is the person that's processing information through an active an active sort. The main thing is that there's no right or wrong way, although there'll generally tend to be a mode of processing which may be more convenient and more conducive to the outcome that you want than others, and that these are readily apparent to you. So another one is a self and other. So you talk about how this person's going to make the most of this situation, and they talk about how it is that this is relating to the people, to us, and so they are sorting for others. Somebody else might be thinking, well, what I need to do is to think about where I need to move with this. That person's sorting for themselves. Okay. We talked a little bit about mismatch-match, where you say something and the person says something that matches what you say, and so they're sorting what you're saying by matching in their own self what it is that you've said. Or a person who mismatches. I'll bet you everybody's had the experience of being with someone who mismatches, yes? You say something and then they say what kind of is the ill fit, actually.
Could you give an example?
Yeah. Well, generally, when we're looking at the surf, the way that it breaks on this beach is it generally peels from left to right. Okay, so now I've said it generally peels from left to right. And somebody else beside me says, Well, the other day that I was down here, the wind was coming from the other direction, and, it was peeling from right to left.
They give you the exception.
They give you the exception, right.
Yeah. Is that also kind of
yes, it's polarizing.
Is that like the same thing kind of as like if somebody says, you say, oh, I love apples, I love to pick apples, I love apples a lot, and then somebody says, oh, yeah, I had an apple the other day with a worm in it.
Yes, that's a good one.
Kind of thing.
That's a good one. That's a lot happening out there.
Yeah,
right. Okay, so the main thing is that metaprograms give us a way of understanding how somebody else is processing, or how we're processing information, that enable us to fit in these metaprograms, enabling us to be able to develop rapport. So somebody might have a metaprogram of always looking at what's going on. Somebody might have a metaprogram of kind of getting the feel of things, and somebody else might have a metaprogram of always wanting to sound everything out before they move. Someone may have a metaprogram of wanting to read something before they're able to learn something, because that's the way that they've learnt most things, is they read something and then they do it. It would be important that for this person that you were able to possibly provide something that they could read, and match the way that they learn. However, this metaprogram may be grossly limiting, right? Because many times you are not learning in this way, but learning in a way through experience. So some people are going from the general, saying something that's general, and then somebody else says something that's specific. Okay, so that's another metaprogram sort. Somebody can either have an open mind or a closed mind. Sometimes a person has a metaprogram of just having a closed mind about something or other. Time sorting. One thing that I've recognised about Alex is that he has a metaprogram of time sorting. A couple of times last month, I recognised that Alex had a program of sorting for time, and I noticed also too that Alex also he's a good one for looking at the watch and things like that. And so recognising how it is that we're sorting information enable us to have choice. So if I had a metaprogram of sorting for mechanical time, this may enable me to be quite punctual in business. However, I might not have very many friends, because the other aspects of time, personal time, natural time, cyclical time, are other ways of looking at time in a way possibly that may be more conducive to being social and having friends. What it takes to convince somebody is a metaprogram. Somebody who is in need of getting well from something, I would want to know, what this person's metaprogram is for getting well. What is their belief system? Because they may believe, well, I don't know of anybody else who's moved from this position to this other position. I don't believe anybody can do this. Well, then that would be important that's part of the metaprogram of convincing this person that there's a need, in fact, for them to see that someone else has moved to a place where there's more, equilibrium for them than what there was before.
And we have different metaprograms for different things, like for learning or for healing ourselves.
So, for instance, yes. So, I work with someone who had a fibrocystic condition, and I asked them, do they think that they can get well? And this person said, I don't think so. But they did say, think so, even though they said, I don't think so. And I said, what would it take to convince you that you can get well? And the person said, well, I don't know of anybody else who's got well from this condition. So then I cite some examples of people who've had this condition, who have moved from this condition to something else, and enable them to work with that belief system, what it takes to convince somebody. Sometimes a person is always processing information through being associated to the thing itself, or dissociated. Either they're associated or they're dissociated, as a way of sorting information.
How does that work? 'Cause
Okay.
I associate.
Okay, yes, okay. So Jenny has a program of living what she speaks and speaking what she lives. Okay, so she has a value for that. And now when she hears somebody saying something that's just absolute trash, she's going, oh God, oh no, oh. Okay, I'm exaggerating. All right. So Jenny developed a program for associating to what it was that was said, because she realised that there is some degree of what is spoken that we live. And now how do we understand this principle that it enhances our life? I think the way that it enhances our life is recognising that we can speak things, in fact, that has excellent physiology, and that we have a value for that, and that we're able to dissociate from stuff that's said. Like, so I'm a jogger. I love jogging. Okay, and I was on the street the other day with somebody, and they heard that I'm a jogger. Okay, and then straight away this person, like I was right close to this person. Okay, they said to me, oh, you jog. Oh boy, I tell you, you should really watch your knees. Like that, reminding me, of this idea, in fact, of, well,
600 pounds.
yes, that in fact that there's a possibility that there could be stress. In fact, that's what they were saying to me, that, hey, you're a jogger, there's going to be stress on your knees as a result of that. And so now somebody could be going for a jog then, and all of a sudden be remembering what this person said, and take their concentration down to their knees, kind of, and be creating some condition, in fact, as a result of. So what I do is, when somebody says something like that, inside my mind, if I think it's a load of rubbish, I just go. Inside, I just, I sense to myself, that's rubbish. But anyway, anybody who has an internal reference, okay, they're always doing something inside, actually, sorting the information out. Like, oh, that matches my experience, or that mismatches. And they're just sorting it, rather than absorbing it, sorting it. So sometimes also somebody is wanting something to change, or somebody's wanting no change. And so these are also meta programs. When we look at the videos, especially of the presentation of the homework, and throughout the next 2 days we're going to be doing some videoing, so as you'll be able to get some calibration from the videos. Look at these videos and see the meta programs. Look at it with ears. Listen with ears that are sorting for meta programs, and look with your eyes and sort for meta programs that are occurring. All meta programs are simply a meta program are 2 words which is describing the creating a behavioural distinction for us to speak about the way somebody is sorting information. That's all. Is everybody understanding what a meta programs are? Yeah? Ken? Ginger?
Yeah.
Dave? Yeah. Meta means something before something else. Meta too. So it's priority. So that's a word that
program?
yes, that's probably a good way to hear what meta programs are. Meta programs are a particular style or priority that you have for sorting, a preference. Even that word is a better word. Preference. It's a preferential sort. Is a way of sorting the information. The way for us to really get a handle on meta programs would be for someone to come out and talk about some experience. Would you like to do that now? We can just do a little bit of this, because this is the best way to catch this stuff.
Yeah,
Would you like to?
Can we go inside?
Can we go inside?
Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, we can go inside if we can just move directly inside. Okay. Scene. It can be about anything. Probably you won't get very far. We'll be just going to say freeze, and then you share with the group what it is that you've tracked. Who would like to come out here and share a story with us about something? It could be anything. It could be about your horse or... Okay. Yeah.
Sitting, standing, wasn't it? Well, I went back after the training last month and said goodbye to all my friends. There we go, Jim.
Yes, excellent. Okay, so I know this about Ali. She does this quite incredibly, actually. Ali gets access to her information first through a meta program of time. That's a big one with Ali, actually. So time is important in the way that she sorts information and is able to retrieve it. Okay.
And so I went about saying goodbye to people and all, and enjoying my last bit of time there. And they decided to have a dance in my honor.
Got a dance?
Yeah, a dance, just taped music, and I heard there was going to be something kind of special happening at the dance, but I had no idea what it was. And I didn't want to pry because I like to be surprised. So I got to the dance, and throughout the whole, it was at a college, and throughout the whole building they had posters up on the doors, Alice goes to Louisiana.
Okay, so there's quite a bit of content, okay, happening here. So also Ali processes through content as well. Okay, so she's mentioned several things which is to do with the content of what it was that occurred. The other thing about Ali is we know that she's internal referenced. She has said, in my honour, I, and she's framing things from I quite a bit, so we know that she has quite an internal reference, actually.
I'm not clear on the content.
Okay, so a person who sorts by content would talk about the people that were there. They would talk about they would talk about signs and things that were there.
Throughout the whole building.
Down the hall.
Types of music.
Yeah, so also, David, what about sorting for location?
Yes.
When I went back
Place,
home,
that's another one.
and I went to the gym.
With content, if someone was sorting in another manner,
Yes,
what would they?
sorting for the structure of things.
Or how they felt?
Sorting by some of the other things that she's already talked about. She created a meta program using time.
Okay, so content is just like things and stuff and objects and...
Right. Somebody could be a people sorter. In other words, when they go back to talk about things, they talk about people, in fact. So that would be a content sorter. Somebody who would talk about people, the people that were there, the music that they heard. That's a content sorter. There's quite a bit of content sorting, actually.
Isn't this like more a general introduction? So she mentions all the who, where, when, and then later when we've got the picture, then we can start listening to how she interprets it.
The thing is that not that there's a wrong or a right way in anything, but simply that the styles. If a horse is able to get this leg up to scratch here, okay, that we would just say, well, the horse has got its leg up here, scratching here. Not that, we could say, later on we could interpret that the horse actually was scratching there. This horse may be able to actually get their muzzle down there, scratch with their muzzle. That's all we're doing here. That we're just noticing how information is being processed.
The structure of language is that we sort and categorize them.
Yes.
So the sorting is the structure of our language, and what we're doing is just seeing which particular types are sort. I mean,
yes.
There would never be something up there that's not sorted, would there? I mean, you couldn't say everything has to fit into a sort.
Yes, everything is being sorted, and not just with language.
Right.
Somebody might have a meta program of dissociating, right? And so then they're always a little bit outside the group. Or someone might be associated and then they come inside the group a bit more.
The language just represents how we relate. How
Right. This idea of meta programs is how we are sorting the information in our life. So someone who was associated to things, generally you'll find this person in the centre of the group at all. Right? And someone who is dissociated a little bit more, sorting information through dissociation, they'll be a little bit more outside the group.
But we're keying on language as like a trail they leave. But they're currently in the process that we can tell what kind of person they are and how they sort. Right? That's
Yes.
the use of language.
Yes, enabling us to be able to develop rapport with this person.
No more about that
And
person.
realising quite a bit about the person as a result of the way they're sorting information.
How do they do it?
Right?
Well, would you say, can you say that Ali is more associated or dissociated from what she's saying there so far?
You could say that she's associated. She has a program excellent, so that you're just listening to what she said so far, and you can know so far that she has used a meta program of being associated rather than dissociated.
And how do you know that?
Is that associated as I'm saying it or associated when I was doing it?
Yes, because if we never knew any of the words she said, but we were just watching her body movements and everything, she's quite associated. But if someone was kind of, talking about what they did.
Okay, so it's not so much the words as the body
As
policy.
well, it's everything. It's everything. Okay.
Okay.
Can you explain how you knew she was internally referenced by the way she stated?
Okay. She said it was in my honour, and I went, and when I got home, I was used quite a bit. Somebody who has really an internal reference. This person usually is a leader. This person really hardly needs to be motivated at all. Somebody who is externally referenced, generally somebody has to say to them what it is that's happening, and these people tend to be in need of being motivated from the outside.
Well, how would an externally referenced person say the same thing?
They gave a party, they
Mm-hmm.
All right.
had
Yes.
So when I got up there, I noticed all these posters all about the place saying, Alice goes to Louisiana Undisco. That's what they call the dance, Undisco. And just signs all around the building. It was really heartwarming to walk around there and see that all these people had put this time into it. And they really do love me there. And a great big banner in the auditorium.
Content, so she's really a content sorter.
We love it here too.
What about style of processing sensorily? What's the meta program that's happening? Quite a bit actually. Visual. Visual. Yes, kinesthetic, but however, there's quite a bit of visual going on, isn't it? Talking about what she saw, bringing her hands up here, talking about a lot of processing going on. Okay, so there's a meta program of sorting through the visual system. Okay.
Did you say she really sorts toward too?
Yes, I would say that association, someone who is associated, someone who is internally referenced, generally sorting toward as well. And many times here now, she has used the meta program of toward as a direction, yes.
She's coming into a little bit too instead of away from.
Yes, excellent. Okay.
Okay.
Hot, and they really do love me.
Yes, that's moving forward. Yes.
There.
Yeah, there.
Okay.
Yeah, I see that as kind of a humbling thing. That's how I felt that.
See how I felt
God, I love it. So the dance was great. The music started. People gathered. A really wonderful combination of people who I danced with for all the years I'd lived there, and then also a bunch of new students. More new students than the college has had in years.
Okay, so change, no change. See, there's a meta program of change, diversion, diversity.
Okay. So it was a great mix-mash of people I knew and people who had no idea who this Alice was, who was all over the walls. And so...
Okay, so match, mismatch.
So during one of the songs, there was lots of clapping on the tape and all, and And I just went, I'm Alice, and I'm right here! And then all my friends started clapping, cheering me on. And they came by and picked me up on my legs and paraded me around the room. Right, and it was so wonderful just being carried around, and I knew a friend was behind me too in case, it got unsturdy, but I was just right up there and cruising around the room. They let me down, music started, and we all danced.
Okay, excellent, Alice. Would someone else like to do this as well? We can do it too. Someone got a story?
I've got a story.
Great.
Well, right now you're noticing that it's fall.
Externally referenced.
Externally referenced, yes.
And the reason you're noticing it fall is only because it's cool weather here. But in Minnesota right now, the leaves have all changed.
Change, no change.
Location.
Location, content sort.
And they're falling on the ground.
Comparison of here and there.
And 2 weeks ago, we were invited by a friend to take a trip down the Mississippi River to the Minnesota River.
Content. Content sorting. Yeah, actually, if you recognise that someone's using a lot of vestibular, you could say that there's a meta-program the person has for use of the vestibular system. Up, down, through, around, on, off.
The temperature at that time was about the same as it is here now. And we're on this boat, and this boat goes so slow that there's actually no wake.
I guess there's quite a bit of time in there.
Right. And we were just cruising down the river, and one whole side of a hill, it's a small hill, but it's filled with trees.
Content.
All the trees from maples to oaks to Dutch elms to other types of trees, and each tree had a different color in the leaves. And fortunately, it was a really sunny day. So the sun was coming by this time from the west, and it shined on this eastern bank. And it was an amazing experience for me. I've always spent fall either in tropical climates or in Southern California, which it's fall because when you look at the paper, it's cooler in other parts of the country.
Okay, so is that a match, mismatch happening there? Okay, match, mismatch. Match, mismatch is a good one for Ned. I've seen some match, mismatch as a meta-program that Ned uses. Okay. Also, he's kind of being visual somewhat too.
All the different
A lot of lack of exception. All the trees described, but there's a difference. They're alike, but then there's the difference.
Yes, okay. So
match or exception?
Yes, match, mismatch is
So it's match, mismatch, more of along the lines of
difference, no difference.
a comparison.
Yeah, comparison, right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Comparing something in terms of another.
Right. So for 4 hours, we went down very slowly down this river, and then we came back.
Time.
And it was just an exceptional experience. And for me, being it's my first fall in an area where they actually have fall, was a really wonderful experience.
Okay, internal reference at the finish. Okay. Do you want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more real quick.
We had a rather humorous family experience a few weeks ago. We had a...
We sorting brothers.
we had a big party for my father at their house. So my sister came over to the party and she brought a change of clothes. And she left. She left one of the dresses in the closet, and a few weeks later asked me to bring it home with me when I was at my mother's house visiting. And so my heart's beating.
internal reference. However, it's interesting that there's one moment where there's an internal reference. Ginger is such a sorter for others, it's incredible. She cooks for others, she does many, many things actually for others, and I dare say she really has a preference for sorting for others.
So when my sister reminded me to look through the closet and bring home her dress, I immediately went to the logical place and couldn't find it. And so we began to search all through the house. Where's this dress? And I kept saying to my mother, Mother, did you give any clothes away recently? Because she's constantly giving clothes away. And no, she hadn't done it. And so I went home, no dress. My sister thought that was pretty phenomenal, pretty strange that the dress couldn't be found anywhere in the house. And about 12 o'clock that night, my mother was laying in bed. All of a sudden, the eyes pop open. She went, oh my God! She remembers that she had a bunch of her church lady friends over. They had been in the back bedroom. And they were looking through. And they were looking through the clothes. And one of the ladies said, well, I like that dress. So she decided to take it home with her. And it had a beautiful green silk scarf with it. And she brought it home, and it didn't fit her. So the dress was then... The dress was then presented to a woman who lived in her building who was moving out because she couldn't afford the rent. And they had a little going away party for her, and the lady, the church lady, brought out the dress and presented it to the other friend. The friend put on the dress, it fit perfectly, and the lady said, well, here, take the scarf too. I was going to keep that, but take that. So the lady took the dress and kept the scarf, and she had to go to a wedding and had nothing to wear. In fact, the woman was moving out of the building because she couldn't afford the rent. So here she was going to an event where she had this beautiful silk dress and a silk scarf, and she looked fantastic. Everybody commented on her. Well, in the meantime, my mother realizes that she's given the dress away, so she calls up Trudy, the church lady, and says, I got to get that dress back. It's my daughter's. And Trudy says, well, I can't. I gave the dress away to a friend in the building. Well, can you get it back? No, she's moved away. So it's impossible to get the dress back. And
so forward and back. Back is a common one, right? Back is a common one, actually.
So is that direction or location?
Yes, involving direction. And actually it'd be interesting, living with Ginger, to recognise this word back and sense how this is being used as a meta program for sorting information, actually. Okay.
So my mother calls up and breaks the news to Janet that the dress is gone and just feels horrible about it. And immediately decides to try to pay for the dress. And my immediate reaction was to try to, well, that's ridiculous. Let's not have a Lucille Ball scenario here. Let's just get the dress back. And finally, my sister Janet had this wonderful realization that it was this cosmic miracle that happened for this woman. My mother ordinarily never gives dresses away, except that we have an abundance of extra clothes around. And it happened to go to Trudy. Trudy couldn't wear it. This woman was moving out of the building. Trudy thought, I'm going to give this dress to this woman. It fit her perfectly. She had it to wear. And we decided it was a cosmic miracle because everybody acted exceptionally.
We decided sorting for others.
So the more that my sister and I began to see it this way, we started reframing the story. And
so isn't that interesting? Ginger says, my sister and I, sorting for others is quite a common one, I think, with Ginger.
I dare say.
So, as in many families, stories get told and retold many times. My mother was not forgiving herself. She was really agonizing over this and just decided that she had to pay my sister back. And the more we told the story as if it was a cosmic miracle and that it was a wonderful occurrence, and to look at it in terms of, my sister gives money to charity all the time. This is just one thing that happened that really worked. Everything worked wonderfully to have this woman have a dress. my mother finally began to see herself as playing a role in some sort of a play out of events, and began to forgive herself.
Source for others, excellent.
Where that dress is going to end up?
She's warming herself next to the fire.
Somebody will wear it to Allie's next party. That was excellent.
Okay. We're going to tonight will be a good idea to read over meta programs. The meta model. Okay, so there's a difference between meta programs and the meta model. The meta model is how to go about getting sensory specific information. So
Page 108 is where it started.
page 108 of
The yellow manual.
Technician's Manual. Actually, also you might like to borrow one of these manuals tonight and have a look over it. What page is Jenny?
108. And to the end of the book, it's like about 10 pages.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So familiarise yourself with the meta model. Okay. So what is the meta model?
A preference for sorting information.
Meta programs.
Oh, meta programs.
What is a meta model?
A way for us to figure out someone's meta program?
Yes, possibly.
Way to get specific.
Yes. The way to get specifics.
Gathering sensory specific
All right.
information.
If I was to say, let's say if Jenny was to say that she's feeling free now, okay, she might just say, "Oh, I'm feeling free now." If it was important that we would get some specifics on how Jenny's feeling free, because that's uncovering some information that's underneath, and I would say, "Well, how specifically do you feel free?" To get some information on that, or what specifically do you feel free about? Or
How will you know when you feel free?
how do you know when you are feeling free? How do you know? No, when you are feeling free would be pacing it away from the person, especially if they say they're feeling free.
If somebody said they didn't feel free, then you could ask them, how would you feel when you feel free?
When you are feeling free,
feeling
how do you feel this? Okay, so that's actually taking it to the person to feel it, rather than putting it in the future.
Oh, yeah. They have to stop and feel it to tell you how to do it.
All right. What if someone said that they rode the bicycle well? What could you say? Okay, so now well is there's a lost performative in the statement. What the statement was, David rode the bicycle well. Okay, so now well is the performative in the sentence, and we're not sure how it was that I rode the bike well. So if it was important to understand how it was specifically that I rode the bike well, then for us to develop skills at being able to draw this information from the depth to the surface. So what is something that you might say to get more information on the statement, David rode the bicycle well?
How did you go out? How did you ride it well? How did you do that?
How did you ride that? How did you ride the bicycle well? That would be good. What about riding the bicycle did you sense was well for you? Yeah? Okay.
Can you ask, what does that mean?
Okay, so now, if you said that, the word that is a word which is describing something. The word that is what we call a nominalization. We're not sure what the word that is, so it's a better idea for us.
So if I said, what does riding the bike well mean?
How do you ride the bicycle well would get the information.
Get the better,
Yeah.
It's cleaner.
All right, what if someone, Ned is working with someone, and they say to Ned that they're feeling the energy stuck a little in their leg. Okay, now it may be important that Ned gets more information on that, because it may disclose to Ned a mode of treatment of the leg. It might, for Ned, mean that he's in need of putting a little fire into the leg to burn some wood that's something is congested a little bit and he's in need of putting heat there to open the area up a bit more. So the person says, I'm feeling kind of my legs a little stuck, I'm feeling a bit of stuckness in my leg. Ned might say, well, how specifically do you feel this stuckness? To get more information, the person says, well, I feel a little like it's blocked and I feel like it's sluggish and it feels heavy. Okay, so now there's some specifics there that kind of gives Ned a way possibly of treating the leg.
David, when you're saying that you're bringing